Hi there, thanks again for tuning in. It's the 30th of December. We're almost out of 2009, the most disastrous year that I can remember. And on this day there are publications about Goldman Sachs saying that it didn't short its own advised CDOs and all kinds of other lies out of the financial system. And I'm really surprised that analysts that are quite good, have been quite good, like Mr. Bernie, is still betting on the same horse. And what I mean is, people are still betting on some kind of innovative company that will, let's say, attract investors and pull the economy upwards. And that's just the wrong way of thinking, because everybody that has been paying attention, everybody that's been listening to William Black, Max Kaiser, Peter Schiff, Mark Faber, there are numerous people, Tavakoli, one of them, very important. There's numerous people that have been explaining to the public how the banking system is one big Ponzi scheme and a huge fraud. So the last thing that you want is to be interesting to investors, and I made a video about it earlier, that the best defense that you have is to become completely uninteresting to banks. That means you don't need debt, you don't need money from banks, you don't have a large bank account, you don't look for investors through banks, but you just look for investors in the marketplace. And that's the way to escape them. That's the way to drain them. There are zombie banks, but apparently, according to the UN, there's still lots of drug money going around in them. And I got that information confirmed by a guy from the UN that I spoke to recently, that said, yes, drug money is such a big part of the world economy. We have been including it in our reports, and apparently the liquidity of the world was all drug money. And if you were talking about liquidity of the world keeping the US banking system afloat, then you can conclude that the US banking system and therewith the US is one big criminal syndicate. That's my conclusion. And you should, as a citizen with some moral, let's say, ethic, some kind of moral strength, you should simply abandon it. And that's very easy. Just turn away. There was a video about going local with your bank, move your bank from the big banks, move your money from the big banks to your local banks. And I got a better advice, and that is move your money from the big banks into gold and silver, because it's decreasing in price at the moment, which is only advantageous, and you should buy it. If enough people, and then I'm not talking about a large amount of people, but if enough people get the message that the banking system is like a swamp, that it's like it's like you're outside the slaughterhouse and you're a sheep, and or maybe you're a lion, I don't know, but it's a slaughterhouse anyway. And inside there's all this activity, and you find it very interesting, and it's very complicated. And there are these decent people with suits on at the door that say, yes, go in. This is a very nice system. You can go in. Please participate in our stock exchange that we flash trade on. Please participate in our bond market that we completely saturate, and that we do. Now I completely forgot the term. Quantitative easing on. Please participate in all these activities, and you'll come out in a tin can to be served to school children with much too much salt and much too much fat, but mandatory by law. That's what you get. You see, it's a sick system, and you should drain it from its prized possession, money, and then from your money. Because if your money is out of the system, it doesn't matter what happens to it. Who gives a damn what happens to the banking system in the US if all US citizens have their own money in a local bank, okay, one that's not that connected, and you have to really take care that they don't do all kinds of magic with your money, because local banks want to become big banks, but okay, but you're minimizing your risk. And that big system that's all floating with CDOs and more than $1 trillion in debt, more than 1,000 trillion in credit default swap and CDO debt that is not being regulated, that is not being brought into transparency over the country because of Barney Frank and the way that Geithner or whoever was these days, I'm sorry about it, but I don't go in too much in the details. Every now and then I do it, but the message is so clear to me that I got most of my money, most of my reserves in gold, silver, platinum and palladium, and I I'm not telling anybody how much it is or where it is or what it is. It's mine, and if I want to invest it, then I go to eBay or Marktplaats, which is a trading place in Holland, and I sell the stuff, and I get 20% on top of the market price. If I go to the COMEX, where the price is clearly suppressed, and people abide by that price, which they do in Holland, then I can make a profit instantly. I can simply go to, but if you do that every day, then they start noticing, and they won't sell to you anymore. What kind of market is this? And gold is a good one, because in Holland gold is money. I can pay with gold. So it's legal tender. But anyway, don't try to be the next Facebook. Don't try to be whatever it is that the banks like you to be. That can create a myth. That can create, let's say, a feeding ground, an investment vehicle, and a promise for the future, of future revenues. That will only extend the life of a system that is clearly has been exploited to the maximum. It's let's say an adversary in a movie where that has been mortally wounded, that has a spear through his neck, and you slowly see the blood drain from his eyes, or or let's say the life drain out of him, like the guy from Blade Runner, where our Dutch hero, our actor, the guy that plays the robot, well, he dies because it's programmed in him, and that's what's happening to the banking system. So let it happen, get your money out, and of course, if you're in debt, default. What who cares? Because it's a done system, it's gone. And there are going to be new ways to protect your wealth in local banks, and they're going to be serving you locally. You're going to have a local economy, and perhaps even with a local currency if the dollar and the inflation gets too crazy. You can go to bartershares.com, help me a little bit, and I'll give you a bartering tool, and you can emit your own money, which is legal, which has happened in the US many times. And you can focus on what's important, which is food on the table and a roof over your head in 2010, and not be distracted by any shenanigans of the government, because they have outlived their welcome, in my opinion, and I guess that goes for many governments. So that's what you need. You don't need to be, let's say, all these smart people that are so inventive and that are so innovative. They never get the mind to simply move out of the sick system, and that's because in the deep of their heart, apparently, they all want to be very rich in the eyes of the bankers, and I don't think that's a good goal at all. I think you should simply forget about that.